mate? You all right?
Yeah, not bad. I don't know what happened there. I turned
Ah,
my
don't worry,
camera
don't worry.
on and it
Yeah, yeah.
seemed.
If you, yeah, there you go. Oh, look at that. Super dapper, this man. I think you might be already out of all of the major people I've had on, like including party leaders and stuff like that. I think you're the most dapper. You look. So you won already on the best dress. So this for the month, yeah, for all the well-known people we've had on and otherwise. But how are you doing, Danny? You're live at the moment on Unity News Network and my Delivering Liberty channels. This is Danny Simpson, everybody. He's running as an independent. But please don't let me steal your thunder. Please do introduce yourself to the UNN audience.
Yeah, hello. I'm Danny Simpson. I'm standing in the Hoyland Milton ward in Barnsley as an independent candidate in this year's local elections. Barnsley is, in my opinion, the most Labour place on earth. If the Labour Party ever, if the Labour Party ever disappears, it would be the very last place standing.
Really?
Yeah, this is down to the 1980s closure of the pits by Margaret Thatcher. Barnsley.
Do you know? Straight? You know what I say? Sorry to interrupt you there, because
Yeah.
do you know what I always say to Labour people who say, "Oh, Margaret Thatcher, they closed the coal mines"? Did you know that Labour closed more even before Thatcher became Prime Minister?
Yeah, I did know that.
Labour
I
actually
did,
closed
yes.
more coal pits under James Callaghan.
Yes, in the
But
70s
the
we did,
narrative
yeah.
is Thatcher did it. No, Labour did it, and they closed a lot more as well. Go on, continue. Sorry, mate. Go on, continue.
Yeah, well, I suppose Arthur Scargill, he was the voice against the pit closure. He's from Barnsley, Arthur Scargill. So yeah, it's steeped in the old traditional Labour standing for the working class and etc. And I mean, in 2019, I thought to myself, if it's ever going to, it's always been Labour, I think, for over 100 years. So I thought to myself, if Labour was ever going to get voted out of Barnsley, it'd be in 2019, because the Hoyland Milton's in the Barnsley East constituency, and 73% of Barnsley East voted to leave the European Union.
Wow.
Of course, in 2019, the Labour Party under Jeremy Corbyn was we will not leave the European Union. And to my amazement, even though it was the best result for the Brexit Party, I believe, in the whole of the country, they only came second by, I think, Labour had a majority of 40,000, and that's narrowed down to 1,400. But still, Labour was voted in again. So that's clear that 73% of the electorate voted to leave the European Union. Quite a lot of people who voted to leave the EU voted for Labour in 2019. And
well, there was always that confusion, wasn't there? Because I stood for election as well in 2019. Not for Brexit Party, but for another Brexiteer party, and they pulled out the Brexit Party person because it was a Tory area.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'm not having this because I know exactly what's going on here. I know we will never leave the European Union, and to this day I've been proven correct. And I said, because it said, what an absolute mess. I remember saying on stage. So you've got the Leave side led by Boris Johnson, who's been a lifelong Remainer. His whole family's Remainers. The Conservative Party have been. I said Conservative Party are a Remain party. If you look at the history, like they signed the EE, which fair enough was a trade agreement, got that trading bloc at the time, the EU. But then in '92 they signed a Maastricht Treaty, which made the EU what it is now. They've since then campaigned to remain in the European Union. So the Conservative Party are a Remain party by historic. If you look at their history, right? It's only since 2016 that they actually saw where the wind blew, and including Boris, he changed sides suddenly. But then also you have the Remain side, i.e. the Labour Party, who is led by a lifelong Brexiteer. You can't make this stuff up. So the side led by the Leave side is led by a lifelong Remainer, and the leader of the Remain side, is being led by a lifelong Brexiteer. You can't make this clown stuff up. And you're telling me that you're actually by voting for the Conservatives, who have been a lifelong Remain party, right? Because they've done everything the EU says. I mean, yes, they had a small faction of Brexiteers in their party, but very small faction, like about 10% of all of the party they represented. You get more on Labour, really. You really gonna trust these people to actually leave the European Union? And I said, no. I said, you are dreaming if you think that. And I was laughed and stuff at the time. Oh, Conservatives are Remain party. Yes, they are. And I was proven correct, because we are still in the European Union. I know this BS of, we left. It's like, no, we haven't left. Northern Ireland are still tied into it. We haven't got control of our fisheries. We're still paying taxation to the European Union, even though we don't have, as useless as they were then, the MEPs, we don't have any now. So it's essentially taxation without representation. We're paying into the European Central Bank. It's an absolute con. We've been absolutely tricked. But I imagine the people in Barnsley go, "Oh, we got Brexit," and it's just like, no, you haven't. Like, you've been tricked. Like, you've been tricked about the coal mines and stuff like that. But sorry, mate. Go on.
No, you're quite right there. I mean, there's a border now in the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland's basically in the European Union, and we're allegedly a third country. But
I think then that Northern Ireland, I think they're going to break away from the Union more quicker than Scotland.
Yeah.
Because I can't see it unless something changes. The projection of that, I can see the 6 counties having a reunion with the Republic, because both sides are Remainers. Like, Northern Ireland voted quite heavily to remain in the European Union. It makes sense on a business perspective. Like, so are you going to go with the side, i.e. the UK, that wants to leave, or do you want to join with your fellow countrymen, i.e. the Republic? I know there's obviously a bit of difference. Who want to remain in the European Union, and also it looks like projected that Sinn Féin's going to win these local elections. So you know what I mean. So it just looks more and more likely that that this union, Scotland and Northern Ireland, are going to eventually leave at this current trajectory, unless something rapidly changes. But sorry, mate, I keep derailing.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Boris Johnson's pretty much doing everything he possibly can to annoy people in Northern Ireland. I couldn't see them breaking away from the United Kingdom simply for the fact that the handouts, the parts of the United Kingdom, but the money they get from Westminster supersedes anything they would get from the European Union. So just for that economic reason, I don't think they would leave the Union. But who knows? And yes, Scott. But with this local elections, I mean, you've talked about the main issue in the area that I'm standing is everyone's kicking off about it. It happened over a year ago, actually, but Labour still got elected in the last local election, and it's. What's happening in it's the Labour Council all voted to build on the green belt, and it's not a minor build. It's the biggest Hermes warehouse in Europe, built on a site where it's one of the sites where the infamous film Kes was filmed. So one of the scenes from the film Kes that was filmed in Barnsley, the little lad with the kestrel. That has now got the biggest Hermes warehouse in Europe on it. But on top of that, it's 3,000 to 4,000 homes being built as well. But the infrastructure's not there. It's all in the rush hour to get. This is by Junction 36 on the M1. Now, in rush hour traffic in the morning, it's at a standstill anyway. So when you add 3,000 to 4,000 houses on top of that, most families have at least 2 cars. You could see at rush hour, you could see an extra 3,000 cars, for instance, because most people start work at that time. You could see an extra 3,000 cars piling on the bottleneck to get on the M1, and I don't think they thought it through. But it's all for the money. I mean, what I've been telling people in the campaign this year is the Labour. I'm pretty sure that all them Labour councillors, every single one of them, voted to approve the plans. Pretty sure they all didn't agree with it, but they have a party whip, and their party whip in the Labour council. The Labour council, the Barnsley council is about 85% Labour. You've got the odd. I think independents are the second highest, and then Lib Dems. And there's only 3 Conservative candidates. So, the Conservative candidates in this ward have jumped on. They're banging the drum against this, the building on the Greenbelt, but there is still 3 Conservative councillors in Barnsley. They represent the Penistone ward, one of the Penistone wards. Penistone Penistone's basically quite on the outskirts of Barnsley. It's not in Barnsley town. And that'll explain. It's quite a well-to-do area, so that'll explain why they've got 3 Tory councillors. But they also voted to approve the plans. And what I've been telling people in the campaign, nationally, the reason why the Labour Council have been allowed to build on the Greenbelt is because it's quite recent. Because it was Boris Johnson as Prime Minister and Boris Johnson's government that did it. They removed all the red tape that stopped councils from building on the Greenbelt. So don't fall for Tory lies. These Tory candidates are playing hell about it. Well, it's only possible because of your Tory government, and that's the message I've been delivering. And hopefully, I'm hoping it's. I've been getting a good reception on the doorstep, so I'm hoping it comes to fruition tonight.
Yeah. So. Who's your competition in the ward you're standing? Like, how many seats is it? First of all, how many seats is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
It's I know other areas I know other areas do it in a different format where they have one local election every 4 years. All 3 councillors are up for election, and that's a better way of doing it.
So is there 3 seats, 1 seat, 2 seats?
That's what I'm saying. In this ward, we don't do it that way. We do a local election every year, then they have a year off. So it's only 1 councillor up for election each year. So it's 1 seat available. It's only 1, and there's 5 candidates.
And who are they? So Labour, Conservative.
You've got your Labour, Conservative, Liberal Democrats, the Trade Unionist and Socialist Coalition, and myself as an independent candidate.
Do you know what? Because I've said this, right, is that I think a lot of people. I'm no longer in a party, Danny, right? I'm totally by myself, right?
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to a party, and I don't. I've run for election multiple times, yeah.
Yeah.
And the reception I'm getting at the door when I used to do is that people are just getting sick of party politics, mate.
Yeah.
It's a big party or small party, and I think independents, personally, are the future. At least at local levels, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I know obviously the way that our broken, archaic system is that it's the party that forms the government is the ones with the most MPs in it. So it's not friendly at all to independents.
Yeah.
That's why, and the argument of why we don't have proportional representation is becoming a presidential style election where we directly elect the prime minister, right? Like the president, in America, for example. It's that the arguments to keeping this first past the post system is becoming more and more redundant because no one really cares. Like when you go and vote now, because everything's become so centralized in control, right? I.e., from Downing Street, from London Parliament, that when people go and vote, do you think they really care about who their local MP is or she is? He or she is. They go in to vote for the Prime Minister. They use it, so they go, because like I said, when I stood for election, people will go, I used to say these truth bombs that used to really red pill people, and then they'll come up to me and go, wow, that's fantastic, sure, I never heard stuff like that before, but I can't vote for you because I'm worried that Jeremy Corbyn will get in, or I'm worried that Boris Johnson will get in. So they don't even care about the individual Labour MP or Conservative MP candidate that's standing. It might as well be a dog that's standing, like a cult rack, right? It doesn't matter. They're voting. The average voter now is voting for the leader of the party. That's who they're voting for. So therefore, the arguments for first past the post are totally redundant now. People go, oh, but you're voting for the individual. It's like, no, you're not. You're voting for the party. So you might as well get in proportional representation, because with proportional representation, you're just voting for the party. Do you see what I mean? You're just voting for, I'm going to vote for, like, Heritage Party, top of my head, like, or Let London Live, or whatever, or Freedom Alliance, whatever it is. I'm gonna vote for that. They're not voting for the individual anymore. They're just voting for the party label. So, so I mean, those arguments are becoming. Whereas, you know what I would do, Dan? You know what I'd do? I was thinking about this like a while ago. Yeah, if I could change the election laws, yeah, what I would do is, the ballot paper would not have the party they belong to. So it'd just be a list of names. Yeah. So it doesn't say what party they're part of. It just says John Smith, Jane Jones, whatever, right? Because what people do is, the average voter, they have no idea about the candidate, and they go in and vote, oh, where's the Labour guy, or where's the Conservative guy, where's the Lib Dem guy, and they just put an X to it. I mean, name could be Adolf Hitler on it, right? And as long as it's got the Labour sign next to it, or the Conservative sign to it, they'll vote for it. Don't even look at the name, right? So I would remove all of the party label votes, right? And then people would have to. They would always be forced to find out, oh, who's this John Smith, or who's this Jane Jones, or who's this Danny Simpson, and actually research the individual candidate. Whereas they're being propped up by the party label itself. Do you see what I mean? Rather than just going in, oh, where's the Lib Dem person? Oh, whatever. What's their name? Starling? Oh, whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that sort of thing. Klaus Schwab? Like, whatever. But,
I mean, the two parties, I mean, this first past the post system, it's an outdated Victorian system. Totally. And it benefits the main two parties, so they will never, ever... I mean, an instance in that, I campaigned for the Brexit Party in 2019, and yes, the candidate was sending out messages to MPs in the Tory Party saying, "Stand down, you're never going to win in Barnsley East. All you're doing is getting Labour elected. If you stand down, you know it'll benefit because you won't have a Labour MP, you'd have a Brexit Party MP." And of course, they was ignored because the Conservatives they knew they was going to win the election. They'd rather have Labour win the seat than a third party like the Brexit Party win. Because if they would have got an MP, then it would have been lift off. You know, there would be. They didn't win once. So
I was helping the Brexit Party. Like I said, I wasn't going to stand in my area because I'll leave it to the Brexit Party, because the party I was in was just some ragamuff. You know what I mean? Like they never wanted to grow or anything. They're just comfortable in their silly little made up titles and stuff like that. They never wanted to actually grow. And they say, you're going to stand in your area. I said, no, because Brexit Party have troops on the ground, boots on the ground. They're a massively recognised brand label. No, and obviously it's in the name. They want to Brexit the European Union. So why would I stand if we all want to leave the European Union, right? Yes. So let's leave it to the people who can actually deliver it, i.e. the Brexit Party, rather than I stand and further splinter the vote. And then they removed the candidate, and then I went, well, doesn't matter now, does it? I might as well stand. Because like I said, I was in the mindset Conservatives will never deliver you Brexit, and the Labour Party will never also leave the thing, even if it was lifelong leaver of Jeremy Corbyn. I was supporting them too, and what I left, I didn't leave. I've never big time supporting them, if you know what I mean. But what really made me lose respect for, especially Farage, was that he removed all of his candidates from the Conservative areas. But like your area, like what you're talking about, okay, so in areas like Barnsley, where there is never ever a hope in hell for Conservatives to win, this was a deal we should have struck. But and he totally foolishly allowed this to happen. For that's why some people say he's a plant, he's a shill. He's actually secretly working with the Conservatives. I don't know whether that's true or not. I would say no at this point of time. But he gave them a free ride, right? there wouldn't have been as much Conservatives in Parliament had he not done that. And what he should have done was, he should have done a deal with them and said, okay, I'll remove all of my candidates for Conservative areas, but in 3, he doesn't even have to be all of the Labour areas, just like 2 or 3 or something like that, like Barnsley, where you will never ever win. Doesn't matter what happens. Like your Labour candidate could punch a kitten in the face or whatever. Yeah, it wouldn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Labour will still win. You stand down your Conservative person, and then the Brexit Party will take because you said it was only by what 1,500 votes, 1,700 votes that the Labour person got in.
Yeah.
And then it was Brexit Party second, so they could have easily got in, right? But he didn't do it, and that's why Farage is a bit of a sellout. He's weak, you know what I mean? He's weak in that sense.
Yeah.
Now he's doing sort of stolen valour. You've got a guy called Steve Laws.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Steve Laws, he's at Dover. Steve Laws and other people like that were doing what Farage did for years, but yet he never gives them credit. He's basically stolen valour. So what that Steve Laws has done and others, well, the other YouTubers, I know Tracy XX something, and I think what's his name, Little Patriot or something?
Active Patriot, yeah.
Active Patriot and all of that, yeah. He's basically stolen valour from them, and he goes, "Oh, I did it. It was all me. It was all me."
Yeah.
No, it was Steve. That you've obviously been watching Steve Law's videos, etc., and then you've just gone, "Oh, I know. I can steal this." Yeah, that's basically what he's done. Someone's going, I'm talking too much. But guys, saying that, if you want to ask Danny any questions, please do put it in the chat. Whilst we're chatting, I will try and go through them all on the multiple streams. But
one thing I would say about these local elections is the last 2 years, I've studied both in the last 2 years, the turnout for the local election vote in Hoyland, Milton, it's the same in all wards in Barnsley, to be honest. It's pitiful. It's 25% or less than 25%. I think it was 23.4% in 2019 and around about 25% last year. That's mainly because there was a massive surge because of COVID. Everyone was getting a postal vote in. The postal votes now, it's a hell of a lot. It's more than doubled in that ward that I'm standing in. And but the turnout, like I said, was 25% or lower. So it's and in both the elections, Labour only just won. I came second, narrowly missing out on being elected at my first attempt. But if the other 75% of voters who would, they've got no confidence in the voting system, so they've said, right, I'm not voting. If they did turn up and vote in the local elections in Barnsley, it might not be such a stronghold for Labour. Because I've put it in my leaflet this year. Actually,
do show us, if you want. Yeah.
Just a simple. That's just a front cover with a picture, and then.
Quite nice. Must cost you a bit. Yeah.
Some more photos, a description why I want to be elected, some of my policies, and then on the back page, we've got.
Was that with Boris? Was that?
It's got.
Young. What's that? They partied whilst we suffered. Absolutely, mate.
Yeah.
It's not just him now. All the Keir Starmer stuff's coming out now. And I said that last year.
Keir Starmer with his beer, Boris Johnson, and it's saying, these two people, they both came up with draconian lockdown rules for everybody to follow, and they ignored them. They partied while you suffered. So why should we vote for?
They're better than us, so they're allowed to do it. They're made of better clay than us. They're better. It doesn't affect them. Yeah, it's shocking. And this is what bothers me though, Dan, with people in your area. It's like I said, with like the coal mine stuff. It's just in their head that, and I can imagine, because I know someone also lives in Barnsley. She's standing for the Freedom Alliance.
All right, yeah. I've noticed there's two. I think there's 2 candidates out of the 19 for the Freedom.
Yeah. I think Jonathan Tilt, the party leader, and Amy Stewart, I believe her name is standing.
I know one of them's standing in the Dodworth ward, and they're standing against somebody who used to be in UKIP when I was in UKIP, and he's recently joined the Tories. So he's yeah.
Wow.
I'm hoping it does well there.
He didn't learn any lessons, and he's only there for ambition, for careerist sort of reasons. Then, because that's the only reason why people join the Conservative or Labour Party now. It's
Yeah,
careerist people, and that's the reason why the Labour Party no longer represents the working man, and Conservatives are no longer conservative, because people joining it nowadays don't actually have conservative or working class values. They're
yeah,
just getting on the ladder to be in Parliament or work
yeah.
for the party system. You know what I mean? And
Oh
really,
yeah,
they don't have any of
yeah,
those values, and that's why all of their values have gone, because it's been infected with idiots basically who have no real cerebral understanding of anything. And all of these broken woke policies have come in, and that's the reason why. I mean, I know so many people right now running, people I know I've encountered over the years who are just totally regressive. Do you know what I mean? In either party. But I was going to say, just to say, so obviously I was saying to people earlier, like obviously you were in UKIP yourself, obviously,
yeah.
and you used to be on the national committee, didn't you? The executive committee.
No, no, no. I never got to them dizzy heights. No,
Oh, I thought you were the young independence leader, weren't you?
no, no, no,
You were?
no. I know who that. I know who you're thinking of, though.
Oh,
'Cause I
have
know
I
that
confused you with someone? I do
it's called
apologise, Danny. Yeah.
Patrick McGuigan, I think his surname is. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
I
know him.
remember he
I
was
know him.
young. I remember he was the young independence leader too. But I thought you took over after him or before.
No, no. I mean, I'm
No.
too old to be the young independence leader.
I think you can be up to, yeah. But I met you quite a few years ago. But I think I think every single, because the statutory kind of position. There's something around where usually the oldest you can be to have that position is 35. So it's anywhere between 16 and 35. You can be the UKIP youth leader person.
Right.
Not just UKIP, but every party. Like in any party, you can be up to 35 to hold that
Yeah.
position.
Well,
I thought you
yeah.
were.
Our what? 2018. Just trying to do sums in my head.
Yeah, but you weren't that anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose I was younger when I joined UKIP. I was younger than 35, but I'm not now.
Oh, right.
So
Did you stand as a candidate for UKIP at any point?
yeah, yeah. In
Yeah.
2019, I stood in the same ward I'm standing in now.
Okay.
I mean, that's
What
no
was your
secret.
what
I
was
noticed on a Facebook, one of the local Facebook pages. Um, I think they got confused because there's two Hoyland split in two wards. One ward's Rockingham, one's Hoyland Milton. There was a post from the Tory candidate in the Rockingham ward saying that there's no independents or Green candidates in this year's elections. Somebody who I recognise his profile actually because I was talking to him on the doorstep a couple of days ago. So he said, "Oh, there is an independent," and he put a photograph of my leaflet up. And then, there was a comment by somebody saying, Daniel Simpson is not independent, he's ex-UKIP, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I stood in
yeah,
2019 for UKIP, and actually,
you can change parties
that's,
and you can change
if,
positions
if
anytime you want. Yeah.
you know, like I said, in the 73% of the constituency voted to leave the EU. So I don't think we're going to be put off by knowing
No.
that I'm ex-UKIP and I wanted to leave the
Yeah,
European
and
Union.
people change parties and stuff all the time. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's not a major thing, unless you're sinister enough to get voted in as an independent and then suddenly, oh, I've decided I'm going to rejoin UKIP, and then you would automatically become a UKIP candidate even though you weren't voted in as one. That's the only thing. Because I remember I had that. There was a little mini scandal I exposed in my council area. So what was happening was, this is during when Theresa May was the Prime Minister, and she really low, points, approval rating and stuff, really, really low. And they got a massive walloping at the local elections, the last ones, when she was the Prime Minister still.
Yeah.
See, this is how evil the Conservatives are. So people just think, oh, it's just Labour. No, no, it's both of them, right? This is how evil the Conservatives are, yeah? Because what they say, loose lips sink ships, yeah?
Yeah.
So I went to my local the actual town halls. You know what I mean? Like the where they have their local council meetings and stuff. And I went to it because they were introducing all the candidates, because I stood as a candidate, all the candidates can come along as a public meeting, and the whole hall, anyone, and they'll talk about the local elections just to sort of prep you and stuff like that, right? And I got in there, and we had that, it was boring and stuff, and it was telling you stuff I already knew anyway. And then there's a bar in the town hall. There's like an alcohol bar.
Yeah.
So after I went to the alcohol bar, I started I'm all about networking and mingling and socialising with people, and have guests like you on. That's the reason why I've had a guest on every day, because you do that through just naturally talking to people and networking. Anyway, I got chatting to this bird at the bar, right? And you can tell she had a good few drinks, and even before she arrived, you can tell she must have been drinking wine at home or something. I don't know. And she was saying, "Oh, I'm standing for election," she said. And I went, "Oh, okay." I didn't say I was, right, at the time. And I said, "Oh, okay." And she said, "Yeah, I'm standing as an independent." She was already half drunk as it was, right?
Yeah.
And and then I got chatting to her and whatever. And then she was going, "Oh, well, I've got to tell you what's going on. Basically, so, there's, I don't know, like 5 independents standing, right, in all of different wards and stuff like that." And I went, yeah, I've noticed, yeah. It goes like, well, basically what it is, because Theresa May is so unpopular, we're so you know how it works, Dan. So the average voter will go in and they'll see Labour, Conservative, Lib Dem, and Independents. So we don't have there's no Greens, right? Independents, yeah. Right? People will go, to hell with, because this is before Brexit, remember, the hell with Conservatives, hell with Theresa May, I'm going to vote for the Independent. That's what the average voter will do. Now, what the average voter didn't realise is that there is a Conservative B team that are masquerading as independents. Right. So when the voter goes and votes for the Independent, they think they're throwing a spanner into the system, but really they're voting for a Conservative. And then once the Independents get elected and get into the local council, they will then just have this sudden desire to join the Conservative Party, and then they're all Conservatives. Yeah, that's what happens, guys. I'm telling you, you just don't know how sinister it actually is. And I exposed it in the locally, and it woke up everyone there. And because loose lips sink ships, don't they? And because this girl had a few drinks in her, she then spilt the whole beans, And obviously I'm a charming man, obviously.
Oh yeah. I mean, it happens. There's a lot of scoundrels like that. And I know that. Yeah. In Darfield Ward in Barnsley, for example, in 2019, when Anne Namely came second, there was a lit. I don't think they exist anymore, but there was. They don't exist because the chairman lives in Barnsley and he's gone off the scene. But there was a party called Democrats and Veterans Party.
Yep. I know.
And they got two. They won 2 seats. One of them was in Darfield. I think his name was Trevor. And in 2019, when a lot of activists were joining together to campaign for the Brexit Party, seeing that as the best machine to beat Labour, to get Brexit done, as they say. But no affiliation to Boris there, but to hopefully, and we know what's happened anyway. But with Brexit, it's a name only. But yes, back to it. He got elected as Democrats and Veterans Councillor. He campaigned for the Brexit Party in 2019. I mean, a few months later, I was surprised to see via social media that he defected from the Democrats and Veterans Party to the Labour Party. So the people of Darfield did the unthinkable and voted Labour out, and he defected to Labour in, that would have been 2020.
Was he the leader? Was he the leader of Democrats and Veterans?
No. The leader was a South African guy. He was elected. I know he was elected. But the leader's a South African chap who used to be in UKIP. I forget his name.
Yes. I remember him now. Yeah. So I think there's someone else. Yeah. So that's really strange. So is that because?
It's clearly because he's thinking to himself.
Keep my seat.
He campaigned for Brexit. He's not a young chap, so he's thinking to himself,
his career.
This will be my last job. He's thinking, people will go back to voting Labour now Brexit's done. So I'll defect from Democrats and Veterans to Labour because his seat will be up next year. He got elected in 2019, so that's 4 years. Yeah, 2023. So he's thinking in 2023, everyone's going to be voting Labour again, and that's his best chance. As like these, these councillors, I'm up against all three of them. There's only one up for election this year, but all three of the elected councillors, they're all Labour. They're literally fossils. They've been there forever, and they really are. At least this one who's up for election, it's clear he's past retirement age. So I would think that it's best off retiring, But they don't. They just stay there forever because it's an easy job if I wanted to be disingenuous and really wanted to be a councillor in Barnsley, I'd just join the Labour Party, stick a red rosette on my chest, and I'd get elected, regardless if I'm any good at the job. That's probably the thought process that's gone in his head. But if I ever get elected, hopefully today's the day, tonight's the night. But when, so not if, but when, if it's not tonight, I'm sure it'll be at the future. When I get elected onto the Barnsley Council. When I do finally win a local election, like I said, hopefully it is tonight, I will never ever defect to the Labour Party because I just couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. I couldn't defect to the Tory Party either. These two are both the establishment, and I'm totally against the establishment because the establishment is totally against the working class people.
You're right. The only reason why people do that when they defect to the Labour Conservative, right? I mean, if they're from a third party or independent, not if they're in one of the two, doesn't matter then. But if they're from a third party or independent or whatever, and they defect to one of the major parties, it's only because they're careerists and they want to stay on the council. Because there's a lot of perks to being a councillor. Like some councillors, because they're on all these subcommittees, etc. They're getting £200,000. They're getting more money than the Prime Minister gets annually.
I know.
Right, I'm sure the Prime Minister has got on a lot of other fingers in the pie as well. That he's earning more than 150 grand. But there's some people who are getting 200 grand and they become careerists. They become snakes, and that's why I always say never. Because there's a lot of people who say let's all join one party, say like the Conservative Party, and we'll infiltrate it, and then eventually we'll work our way up the system and become an MP, and then all those, and it's like one of these socialist sort of like utopian sort of dreams. It's like that's not how it will happen. That's not how it will happen. What will happen is that by the time you get to those lofty goals of being an MP, you will become corrupted, and that's reality. Because I understand human nature. People will go, oh, I've got this certain amount of income now, and I know I joined for freedom reasons or whatever, for good intentions, but people only and it's sad to say, and I know you're against like the lockdowns and stuff like that based on those leaflets and whatever, but the only way to wake people up, it won't be the children, it won't be any of that things that you would think that Hollywood films tell you that's how it happens. It will only really happen when it affects their income. That is the only reason how people will wake up. So I think there'll be more of an outrage if there's an economic crash soon than there will be of any of the stuff that's gone in the past 2 years. But Dan, I know you got to do stuff because you're obviously a one man. You're basically doing your own footwork and stuff. You don't have the big support of others. So I imagine you got to do some. But please. This is a hustings, and this is your closing statement. I'm sure you want to remind people to go out and vote as well. So please do give us your closing statement. Go on to get people to vote for you.
Yeah, well, I'd encourage everybody in Hoyland, Milton to vote for me. I will represent the people. I will be the people's voice. I will be held to account by the people. I will not be there to represent the establishment. These three main parties, Labour, Conservative, Lib Dems, you can't trust anything they say on their leaflet because regardless of what they say on their leaflet, they are controlled by their party. They are there to serve their party, and they are self-serving themselves. Their whole goal is to climb the ladder in their party in the hope of one day becoming the candidate for the MP, because all these MP candidates, well, actually, not all of them, because the Barnsley East one, she just knew somebody high up in the Labour Party, but most people get to become a candidate in the general election by starting off in local politics, and that's the way they think in their head. So they will never go against the party. And we've seen that in Hoyland Milton, where every single Labour councillor voted for the approval of building on the green belt. It's affected for Hoyland Milton and neighbouring Rockingham Ward the most, but this is just the start. They're also doing it in other areas of Barnsley now. So once they've started building on the green belt, they're going to continue to do it. And I'll remind you, don't fall for the Tory lies. It's only possible because they ripped up the red tape. Boris Johnson, so it's fairly recent, the national government ripped up the red tape that prevented the council from building on the green belt. So, if it's imperative, this vote in Hoyland Milton and the neighbouring Rockingham Ward, but I'm standing in Hoyland Milton. If you want to save the green belt, you really do need to get out and vote for Danny Simpson, the independent candidate, because if Labour get elected again, then you are giving them a free pass to do what they want, go against the people's wishes, and they won't give a monkeys. They really won't give a damn. So, yes, and everybody, not just, I'm sure it's the same, not just in Barnsley, but like I said, recent local elections, the turnout has been 25% or less than 25%. So if you're living in a Labour stronghold like Barnsley, or it could be a Conservative stronghold, and you're thinking to yourself, there's no point in voting because I know who's going to win. Well, go out and vote. Go out and vote for the candidate or the party that you want. Because if the other 75% of people turned up and voted, you might be surprised. It might not be Labour or Conservative who actually wins the local election in your ward. So, and yeah, thank you. I'm gonna go around now and do some last minute campaigning, knock on some doors, encouraging them to vote. So, thanks for your time.
No, thank you. You get a lot of support in the chat here saying he does, yeah, indeed, he speaks sense. Yeah, agreed, he talks sense, says Gina 101 and third Earl of Lambert. Yeah, you're getting a lot of support. And people are saying you look really smart as well. You're dressing really smart.
Oh, right, thanks. Yeah, I do. I do like to.
Another person has called you the Hovis boy, but we assumed us sort of Southerners, yeah, we assumed that everyone up north or around that area dresses like the Hovis boys. It's all cobbled streets everywhere.
Yeah, well. There's plenty of them cobbled streets still up here, so I'd like to keep them. I wouldn't be tarmacking over the ones that still. Nice. I do love a cobbled streets.
yeah, there you go. But Danny, thank you very much for coming on, and I do wish you luck. Do you know what I mean? I've got a lot more. I respect all the people that have come on, but especially independent candidates who there is no support. Do you know what I mean? There is nothing to help you. You're doing it all self-financed, you know, pretty much, or within the family or whatever. So it's you're doing good, mate. So I wish you luck, mate, and I really hope that you get in, and hopefully you can change some of the stuff at a local level. But thank you for coming on, Dan.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you to everybody in the chat for your kind comments.
Yeah, I didn't get any questions. I'm looking for a question mark, guys. That's what I'm scanning for. But I think yeah, best of luck. So I think we'll leave it at that. But thank you very much, Dan, for coming on. Yeah, and have a good day. And let me know how you get on. Yeah, let me know how you get on.
I'll message you. It'll be between 3 and it's predicted to be between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning when we get the results. So so I'll let you know, and fingers crossed.
All right, mate. Have a good day and take care.
Yeah, take care.
See you later.
Bye.
There you go, guys. That's yeah. There you go. That was Danny Simpson in Barnsley, running as an independent.